It's the Final Word Daily in association with Noobru, the Think Drink. I'm Daniel Norcross, and once again I am alongside Ben Jones to run the rule over the third day of the fourth Test match between England and India at Old Trafford. And Ben is now going to sum it up in 30 seconds.
Today was all about one man, Joseph Root. He went soaring up the run tallies for Test cricket's history, passing Jacques, Kallis, Rahul Dravid, and of course Ricky Ponting. He now lies second on Test cricket's most prolific run scorers, behind only Sachin Tendulkar. Alongside the history records, alongside him making his 150, there was some cricket that happened. England all but sealed the series. They closed the day on 544 for 7, about 200 ahead. I can't remember the exact number. It's pretty much done. It's no longer England versus India. I think it might be England versus the weather.
Well, they're 186 runs ahead, I believe.
There we go.
They have 3 wickets in hand. But is it all over for India, I wonder? Because, yes, England did sort of grind them into the Old Trafford dust. It's rare to find any dust in Old Trafford because it's normally been commingled with a vast amount of rain. But there hasn't been any for a little while. And India do have a lengthy batting lineup that knows how to dig in. It could just be that the draw is the only thing that they can play for now, because that lead just seems enormous. And their bowlers are tired. They keep tripping over stairs and getting their feet stuck in footholes. But the same is also true of England. By the end of today's play, it felt like the retreat from Verdun. There were people basically in bandages and on crutches, not literally but metaphorically. Ben Stokes, captain, marvellous, he was limped off with cramp. We were told it was cramp. We therefore must assume that it is cramp. It's quite strange for someone to go off for cramp, but he then came back out to bat, so it probably was cramp. And I'm not surprised he has cramp, quite frankly, because he bowled an enormous amount of overs in the last couple of games. Bumrah's speeds were down. Siraj tried manfully, but just couldn't break through until the very end. And it was really Washington Sundar, the only man who looked like taking wickets when he did take the first 2 wickets of the day. It's been a war of attrition today, Ben. But you started with Root, so I'm going to start with Root. Why were we all so completely potty about him going past 3 names on a list? Because he's going to continue to play for quite a long time, but the biggest cheer of the day was when he became the second leading run scorer of all time. Like, they didn't do that when he became the 5th leading run scorer, but because it was the second, it somehow mattered. Is it because we've now got an Englishman who scored more runs than the leading Aussie? Is it as parochial as that?
Yes, it's certainly to start with that. I look, ultimately, these things are peripheral. They're not important to Joe Root's actual legacy. But such is the tribal, gritty, horrible nature of cricket fandom, of cricket discourse in general. Having something which you can just point to and go, he has got absolutely shitloads of runs, more than everyone who has ever played the game ever, apart from Sachin Tendulkar. Which I'm going to bring in my obsession. I'm obsessed with catching Sachin. I love it. I've been chasing the numbers through for the last 5 years, working out when and how Joe Root can do this. He needs approximately, if he kept on scoring the runs at the rate that he is doing, about 90 runs a test is what he's been doing for the last 18 months, 2 years. It'll take him about 28 more tests.
Ooh.
Which I think roughly, I've looked at it a lot, coincides with England's tour to India in March 2028. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do it at the 1KD, but he could. And if he's going to do it at the 1KD, there won't be a test scheduled there. So he's going to do it at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad instead, at which point there won't be a test scheduled there. So the series itself will be in doubt. But the point being,
maybe they'll play it at Ranchi.
Yeah, we'll do it in Guwahati.
Yeah,
it'll be in Dubai. They'll just outsource the whole thing. The point being that Joe Root has achieved something incredible with what he has done. Today is merely a landmark of it. It's just a staging post on his journey to greatness. Whether he actually gets close to Tendulkar or goes past him is incidental. What we've seen is England's greatest ever batter is now in the crosshairs. He has absolute greatness. And I'm going to say there was a lot of smatterings of like, oh, it's a knowledgeable crowd here at Old Trafford that they applauded as he went past Ponting. They're no more knowledgeable than everyone else, and they're certainly as drunk as everyone else. It was all anyone's been talking about for 48 hours. So you'd be,
and they've got headsets on.
Well, quite right.
And I think both broadcasters, both Sky and BBC, were banging on about it constantly. I was basically under instructions: stick to the route narrative. So. But
it also zooming back in. Let's leave the macro. Let's go micro. Root essentially rocked up today with Ollie Pope alongside him, with a series to win. With a series to define, runs today, back the day, England have basically secured the test. I know we'll tee up in India potentially having a route back in, but essentially England are fully in the driving seat. 88% on WinViz. I know you were thinking you need some context. I've given you a number. Root played basically flawlessly. He was entirely in control. It didn't look like he was going to get out for the entirety of the first session or the second session, frankly. And it was a kind of a perfect exhibition of the kind of batter that he has become in the last 4 years. Since the start of 2021, he has made 21 Test centuries. That is as many as Andrew Strauss made in his entire career. He's a Knight of the Realm.
Yeah.
Ken Barrington didn't make that many. No. Len Hutton didn't make that many. David Gower didn't make that many. We are talking about the absolute creme de la creme of English batting. Couldn't do what Joe Root has basically done on a hot streak for 4 years. We are in peak Root. How long peak Root lasts for, I don't know, but it is a marvellous thing to watch.
He made 150 runs today. He was dismissed in a fashion that will, very much encourage Liam Dawson. Ball turned past the outside edge from Jadeja at pace. It zipped off the pitch, taken very well by Dhruv Jurel. Off came the bails, and then he proceeded to tread on the ball, did Root, on his way out. And he looked doubly aggrieved because he doesn't like getting out ever. No. Even if he's got 150, he was dischuffed by it. Let's put it that way. But Liam Dawson will not be dischuffed, as he wasn't later when he came out to bat, and also batted rather interestingly. Is he the, what I was going to say what England could have won, but they've won him because they picked him. I mean, how is Shoaib Bashir feeling right now? Because Liam Dawson bowled pretty well in that first innings, pretty well, but he tied an end up, took a wicket early on, and then he batted like a number 7. I mean, it's typical, actually, that finally when Jamie Smith has got the longest, or rather the shortest possible tail to play with, he chooses today to have his one-off day and gets out for a single-figure score. But suddenly, you wonder if you're Shoaib Bashir, oh no, I was hoping they might have completely forgotten about Dawson.
It was one of those where you look at it and you can almost see the sliding doors of Woakes, and at the end of the day, Woakes and Dawson batting together. Now, one has been England's kind of quiet accumulator at number 8 for 10 years now, giving that little bit of support for the tail, and then Liam Dawson is coming in, and he looked assured, he looked comfortable. Now, it wasn't, if you're looking at the scorecard, you're thinking, why are we talking about Liam Dawson? It felt like it just took the sting out of any potential collapse. We've spoken a lot about low order collapses and tail end runs. Dawson wasn't doing this in like a Shardul Thacker swinging from the hip. He just looked like a batter. Just looked like a batter who could bat at number 8 in Australia and maybe average 22 and just give everyone up the order a partner for another hour and a half. That's what takes you from 380 to 520. It's what makes the difference between good totals and match-winning ones. And the flippant, snarky thing to say, which is why I'll say it, is that Dawson went past Shoaib Bashir's series run tally within about 40 minutes of being at the crease. It's not what Bashir's in the team for, but it's what Dawson can do when he is in the team.
It certainly is, and England are going to be keeping an eye on that. As I say, so is Shoaib Bashir and Rayan Ahmed. They're going to be keeping an eye on him as well, because in the county championship game today, he picked up 13 wickets and scored 100 in the first innings. So, look, suddenly from having no spinners at all, England have now got a bit of an issue.
Can you think of a popular kind of phrase that might sum that kind of thing up? About public transport.
I think it's a good problem to have.
I was going to go for London buses, but sure.
Oh, London buses.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, it is like, in a way, London buses. But I just want to say that London buses are pretty regular, actually. Yeah. They do a fairly good job. I'm all for them.
Up the TFL.
Here. Let's jump back quickly, because it wasn't just about Joe Root today. Ollie Pope made a half century. Basically, the top 4 looked solid. Harry Brook ran past a Washington Sundar drifter. Washington Sundar didn't turn the ball all day, but he drifted it a long, long way. He's a beautiful drifter.
He's a beautiful bowler.
What a great drifter!
I mean, it was bizarre the way India used him.
I love a drifter.
It's an underrated bar.
Yeah, it is.
He didn't bowl in the morning session. I don't think. I think he only bowled after lunch and immediately got Pope with a beautiful delivery. Pope kind of jabbed at in the way that he will do, whether he's on 0 or 200. He goes hard with his hands with that kind of double front press. And he was dismissed, and it was again through that movement through the air. Sundar wasn't trusted early on in the day on a pitch.
69 overs it took.
He took 4 for last game.
69. He's batting at number 8. I mean, surely he's a frontline bowler.
But they choose not to go with him, and the more to the point is that he then comes on, he bowls so well that they're like, oh shit, we can't take the new ball now. So they've been resting Bumrah so that he can bowl with the new ball. They get to 80 overs, he takes a wicket, and they go, well, we can't take him off now. So the strategy, the tactics was all over the place from India. They felt like they carried through the flatness of yesterday into today. It felt like they'd not given up. No professional athlete's ever going to say that. But it didn't smack of everyone being at it.
Well, part of the problem is Shubman Gill's fields, because he sets everyone so far and wide apart that I kind of feel that they don't have much chance to get together and be snarly and snarky. There was all this talk about how this game was going to be full of needle after the Lord's Test. Well, it's hard to do needle when you've got a deep backward square, a deep mid-wicket, a long on, an in-out strange field on the offside. It never felt like the batters were being pursued hungrily or angrily. But it was baffling that Washington Sundar didn't come on, and he then proceeded to bowl over after over after over. He bowled 4 maidens, and Ravindra Jadeja at the other end, notwithstanding that he did take the wicket of Root. And he got 2 in the end, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he got some turn, but he didn't bowl a single maiden. I felt that the fields were lacklustre. There were gaps everywhere for people to score runs early on. That first session didn't have the intensity that it needed to, because we kept on saying this is a very important session. England starting at 225 for 2. They were still behind by 133. The ball had done a fair bit in the morning session the day before. I know it was a 45-over-old ball. Why it took 24 overs for them to bring on Washington Sundar, and then after lunch he and Jadeja bowled in tandem, and England went kind of nowhere. And that was the first time in the day where India looked like an outfit in the field rather than one that was just accepting its fate. And I know they weren't accepting their fate, it's just that's what it looked like.
They had a sniff, and it felt like there's been this constant, we talk about it a lot with basketball, don't we, the misalignment between the actual game situation and how the opposition perceive the situation. So how captains get baffled, they get basketballed, they get dazzled and confused, and it feels like you need to put everyone on the fence in order to gain a semblance of control. Is that true? Maybe not. But the point is that Gill was being as defensive as if England were 133 in front, even though they were still 133 behind. I do have a bit of sympathy, because you are bowling to one of the greatest batters of all time in Joe Root, and Pope played really well. As he's far from Root's class, but he did play well in this innings. But it just felt like they didn't come out with, right, we've got 2 hours to save this test, here is what we were going to do. What they did was they came out, they immediately started with Shardul Thakur because they wanted to swing Bumrah around to bowl from the other end. It gave England an easy start. Cambodge bowled again, and to be honest was worse than yesterday. It was throwdowns, and England didn't look even remotely concerned by him. If anything, they were going to get out trying to charge him and bop him back over his head. It just felt like India have weapons in that attack, and they're not using them properly. They're not using them well. They're not picking the right team, as we spoke about yesterday. You just want to grab them and shake them.
In essence, the difference is, and England had done this a couple of times in a high-profile 5-match series against the big 3. In 2023, it was Mark Wood came back into England's side, refreshing the bowling at Headingley in the 3rd Test. England this time brought in Jofra Archer, and he certainly refreshed that bowling lineup. India have opted for Cambodge, and I'm afraid therein lies the difference. Before this Test match, I thought India were the better team across the 3 Test matches. In this Test match, very similar to the Old Trafford Test 2 years ago, England have dominated. It's as simple as that. Just to finish off on the sort of the rule of thumb of the day, Ben Stokes, 76 not out, I think he is, at the close. He's going to come back tomorrow with Liam Dawson. England, you would imagine, have got no thoughts of a declaration. There is a little bit of rain around, so that is something else for India to be mindful of or hopeful for. But is Rishabh Pant going to come out and bat again? Well, I guess he might do. A lot of that is going to depend on circumstance. We might get more of our answers on that tomorrow. But with England with that massive lead, it feels like this Test match is only going one way.
I'm going to be an arse, and I'm going to say I've seen a lot of tweets this series at the end of 5-day tests where everyone's gone, aren't 5-day tests unbelievably sacrosanct and perfect, and the schedulers simply must not even vaguely consider 4 days. This would be a really good 4-day test because England would be having to get a shift on, maybe think about declaring and giving themselves 2.5 sessions to bowl India out. As it is, there's no incentive for them to play in anything other than a pedestrian, steady extending the lead fashion, and then they've got 5 sessions to basically get stuck into India. Whether or not you like that sadistic element of Test cricket is probably a matter of taste. Some people like seeing teams grind into the dirt. Personally, I find it a little bit sad and not the most engaging. But
yeah, well, I'm with you.
I'm not going to.
The other incentive is, of course, you get a 5th day pitch to bowl on if you think you need it, and there were signs of wear. There were some that were keeping low, there were some that were spinning, but generally speaking, it wasn't a minefield. So there's another bit of hope that I'm going to give to Indian fans. Before we head to the Hall of Fame, it's just time to tell you about our Noobru Cricket giveaway. We're giving away a brand new Virat Kohli Genius King Cricket bat, gloves and case, plus a year's supply of Noobru Pro worth over £1,600. £1,600! That's like, well, I can't do the maths now, but it's about a ninth of the number of runs that Joe Root has scored. To enter, go to noobru.com, that's noobru.com/final word, and purchase any or all of our 12 qualifying cricket Noobru products. Qualified products will display how many entries each product will get you. The more you buy, the more entries you get. What's more, the 15% discount for being a final word listener still applies. Today's product featured is Noobru Pro Cricket. Turbocharge performance, sharpen focus and conquer daily demands with Noobru Pro. A precision formulated drink with 17 research-backed ingredients to boost cognitive function, clarity and well-being. Who doesn't need all of those things?
Absolutely.
Noobru has over 3,000 verified reviews online with an impressive 4.9 stars out of 5. And the winners will be announced at our match with 0 ducks given, which I'll be on their team because that's the thing I'm in, against the final word, which is at Wormsley on Monday, the 18th of August. By the way, Noobru Virat Kohli Genius King Bat Plus Gloves giveaway, UK residents 18 plus only, please. Runs Tuesday 22nd of July to Monday the 18th of August. Qualifying purchases earn entries automatically. Different products earn different entry amounts, but the more you buy, the more entries you get. No purchase necessary. Postal entries accepted. Full terms are at noobru.com/final word. Now it's time for us to take a short break. On the other side, the Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Fame. Can I go first? Because today, I'm sorry, guys, I've been looking for Hall of Fame moments throughout this match, and it's been sort of a little bit lacking. But I want to go for Mohammad Siraj diving full length for a ball after he bowled about 22 overs. He looked exhausted before that. He'd been sort of like creaking around the outfield. He'd actually walked very gingerly up the steps because I think he'd turned his ankle on a foothole, we were told. So he wasn't in the best shape. But he put his body on the line. He put everything on the line for a full length dive that he frankly got nowhere near. But he put everything into it. And, you know, that says everything about Mohammad Siraj. He's not been at his snarly best, perhaps, but he still gives it the lot. I love him.
Mine's a Siraj one as well. One of mine. I've got a couple today. Okay. Siraj dismisses late in the piece Chris Wokes, England's number 9. India are a long way behind in the game. Siraj has got 100 runs to his name, and the ball keeps low inexplicably along the surface and bowls Chris Wokes. And Siraj acts a little bit like he's bowled the worn to Gatting ball on this very ground, and launches into the Cristiano, the unproblematic Cristiano Ronaldo celebration, doing the Sioux thing, and there's a slight wry smile on his face that he knows this isn't maybe the exact moment he would like to have pulled this out, you know, a few hundred metres from an iconic football stadium. But he was like, no, I want to do it on the soil that the great man once did it, and it was quite funny because it was a pathetic moment. And the other thing I wanted to say, as a slip of the tongue that I would do myself, Dinesh Karthik on commentary today referred to I think it was Siraj himself bowling from the Jason Statham end.
Jason Statham end. Well, that's a thought, isn't it?
I quite enjoyed
why
it.
not? I mean, that would be absolutely magnificent. You could have the Thomas Hardy end. Is he called Thomas Hardy? Tom
Hardy.
It's Tom Hardy. Yes, I've got it mixed up with a 19th century novelist, and that's the point. You see,
it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, the Sylvester Stallone end, the I could go on.
Well, I mean,
Russell.
the necessary joke which Ian Wood did make on commentary was to say that Siraj is going to come in and bowl fast and furious, which,
Very good.
Come on, you can't go wrong.
No. Well, what a beautiful day. We're going to be back for more of it tomorrow. It's the 4th day. Could be the last day, but I have a sneaking feeling that it won't, because this Indian side is full of fighters, and I think we're going to see them fighting and scrapping all the way. But for now, from the two of us, it's goodbye. Just a reminder, this programme brought to you by Noobru. Go to noobru.com/final word for your 15% discount. But for now, from me, Daniel, and from him, Ben, goodbye.